One of the biggest questions that we get for this Halloween timeline is Michael Myers human or supernatural?
Everybody's a suspect!
Coming to get you, Bobber.
Wolfman's got Nards!
Now, the reason that I'm going to be talking about this question today is I did mention before that after I'd done the trailer breakdown and the trailer reaction, I got a lot of comments, and I'm choosing the popular comments to discuss and put a video out about those questions or comments. And another one of the biggest ones is not really a question, but a lot of people have said after watching the trailer, oh my goodness, Michael Myers isn't human, he's supernatural. Listen to what they say in the trailer. And that's what I want to break down today. Why people think that Michael Myers might not be human anymore in this timeline. I personally believe he's just human. But when I say that he's just human, I get people saying, how can you think he's just human with all the things that he can do and all the things that you've just heard in the trailer? Well, I'll try and break it down for you. Again, this is just my opinion. He may end up supernatural, turning into a ghost and flying away. For all I know, I don't know. But to me, from what I've witnessed in Halloween 2018, from what David Gordon Green has said about the movies, and from what I saw in the trailer, he's 100% just human. I've taken quotes from the trailer. I'm going to start with the first one that you hear that maybe suggests that Michael Myers is no longer a human, and then we'll break it down right up until the end of what we see in the trailer. So the first one that makes people question is when Allison says, "My grandmother was right, the boogeyman was real." Now that doesn't tell me that he's supernatural, that just tells me that Laurie Strode continued with her comments from the events of 1978 and passed it down to her daughter, passed it down to her granddaughter, and passed it down to everyone who would listen. And David Gordon Green did show in the 2018 movie that Laurie Strode was just a little bit crazy, or at least people thought Laurie Strode was crazy. So it doesn't confirm that he's supernatural. It obviously doesn't confirm that he's human either, but that doesn't tell us anything. That just tells us that from what Allison says in that trailer just confirms the way we see Laurie in the 2018 movie. The next one that we've got is from Laurie herself. She says, "Evil dies tonight." Now that is obviously metaphorically speaking. Even if Michael Myers was supernatural, evil couldn't die tonight because there's other evils around the world. So this is when I start talking about Dr. Loomis, because I'll mention his name a few times, because Laurie is becoming this Dr. Loomis type character. Dr. Loomis studied Michael Myers for over 15 years, blah 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 blah. So he knows Michael Myers inside out, but he metaphorically over exaggerates Michael Myers to anyone who will listen. And that's exactly what's happening with Laurie Strode. So she's saying, similar to the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, Michael Myers doesn't have black eyes, is metaphorically speaking. The same with what Laurie's saying in this trailer, evil dies tonight. It just means like an evil man will die tonight if I'm able to kill him. I love this one because this is one that got everyone up out their seats. Laurie said, "Michael Myers is flesh and blood, but a man couldn't have survived that fire." It shows you right in the face exactly how he survives that fire. The firemen come and help him out accidentally, and even when she says, "but a man couldn't have survived that fire," you see in the trailer itself how he specifically survives that fire by pulling the gun armory up and coming out. That's how he survives. Now this could go two ways with Laurie Strode, because she could be, again, just like Dr. Loomis, metaphorically speaking, or she genuinely believes that Michael Myers isn't human and she didn't see him coming out of the armory, so she's questioning herself, how did he survive that? Because if I was Laurie Strode and found out that Michael survived, yes, of course, I'd be like, he's not human, how can he survive that? But from our angle, from the audience's view, we get to see how he survives that. So to us, we should know he's not supernatural. He's just a human being. Before we get into any more quotes, we're obviously going to have to talk about Michael's actions without any words. For example, what he does to the firefighters in the trailer. What he does isn't something that an everyday human being can do, especially a 61-year-old, but we have to suspend disbelief sometimes in movies. You can get grounded movies that you have characters that can do things that you just simply wouldn't be able to do in the real world. Look at John McClane, for example, in Die Hard. Look at the characters in the Fast and the Furious movies. Although they're not purely grounded, they're only human beings doing what human beings could potentially do if they're very lucky. Looking at Michael Myers, he's lifting a guy up with the halogen. Michael Myers could be going through some sort of an adrenaline rush, it could be anything, but we don't have to over-explain that. It is just a movie at the end of the day, and he is still portrayed as a human being at the end of the day. Let's go back onto the quotes. Laurie's then quoted in saying, "The more he kills, the more he transcends." Now again, that's a supernatural vibe as well, because it's almost like every time he kills someone he gets a power. Again, that's metaphorically speaking, please don't take that literally, because Michael Myers is, again in my opinion, just a human being. Transcends means rising above, going beyond and out with your ability or your capability. So it's almost like when he's killing the firefighters, he's getting that rush, an adrenaline rush, that supernatural element. Again, it's sort of like that Dr. Loomis vibe. He's overemphasizing, he's metaphorically speaking, he's just trying to get his point across that don't underestimate this man. Although he is a human being, he can possibly do things that maybe not every human being can do. I'm going to say this quote as well because I'm not quite sure who actually says it in the movie. It could be Lindsay, it sounds like maybe Lindsay's voice. Someone says, he's the essence of evil. So what that means is he's the center of evil, the pinnacle of evil. Again, it's another Loomis type quality. And if it was indeed Lindsay, it maybe shows that Dr. Loomis didn't leave the town straight after Michael Myers was incarcerated. Maybe he's talking to Lindsay and Tommy, trying to get it through to them, and they're going a little bit nutty as well, just like Laurie Strode. But if it's not Lindsay and it's someone else, or it is indeed Laurie Strode, then the same applies as above. She's just metaphorically speaking, maybe taking inspiration from Dr. Loomis. Even after all the quotes, and even before the trailer for Halloween Kills, David Gordon Green himself promised a non-supernatural Michael Myers. Now, it's not as easy as just giving us a man walking around and probably dying within 5 minutes. He's given us a non-supernatural Michael Myers, but also portraying him in a way that John Carpenter did in the original Halloween, showing us a human being doing human things, but maybe stretching that limit. How could you do that? He wants you to question. He wants the audience to question, but not only the audience, he wants the characters to question. How could he survive that? How did he get away with that? How was he able to do that? Because without those questions, we've just got a man running around killing people. There's nothing, well, there is obviously things scary about that, but giving him the supernatural element makes it scarier, not making him supernatural. Just giving us this human being, but making him do things that not an everyday man can do, that makes it scarier. It's also another reason that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride pulled the stories back, all the way back to the events of Halloween 1, because when you look at Halloween 2, that's when you see a more supernatural element to Michael Myers. He starts walking like a robot, unintentionally of course, by Dick Warlock. He gets shot in the eyes, he burns to death. That's probably something a human being couldn't survive. Yes, they have survived that in the past in real life, but the chances of recovery are very slim. So pulling it back to Halloween 1 is the only way to do it if he wants to bring back a non-supernatural Michael Myers. If you look at all the sequels after that, Halloween 4, 5, especially 6, he's definitely not a human being, he's definitely a supernatural entity. So removing all that, stripping it back, although Halloween H2O was a more human Michael Myers, it still had that supernatural glow to it. Stripping it back to Halloween 1, that's the only way to do it. We've got a non-supernatural Michael Myers. So in my opinion, in my personal opinion, from what I've saw, from what David Gordon Green has said, from what I've saw in the trailers, Michael Myers is 100% human being. As I mentioned though guys, this is just a matter of opinion, and also he could become a Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th, you never know. But it's just my opinion. At this moment in time, Michael Myers is only a human, but obviously it's open for interpretation, it's open for your opinion, so leave your opinions down below. Is Michael Myers human or supernatural? As always guys, thanks a lot for watching, thanks for subscribing, I'll see you soon, bye bye.